K.E.N Talk Equity Walk that we've been starting. We launched this, a little bit of background, we launched this last spring semester. We had Daniel Peck kind of kick it off for us. And this will be a series moving forward. And the goal of this really is to build community and build more community within Mission College. And this is important because we're moving forward, as Ken will talk to you about, we're going to be doing a lot of work together. We will all have a role in implementing equity into our campus. And what that means is going to be, it'll be varied between all of us. We all have coming in with biases and different opinions. But the important thing is, at the end of the day, despite our differences of opinions and everything, we see each other's humanity, and we respect each other as human beings and individuals, and we all have the best intentions for our students at the end of the day, right? So this is really the goal of this K.E.N Talk, is to see each other's humanity, and that at the end of the day, we mean well, and we wish to do no harm. And we want to get to know each other so that when we have those difficult discussions moving forward, we can have those, right? And still leave as colleagues and friends. So Ken will give us a lot more detailed information on that. Let me introduce Ken Sanko. He is the director of the Student Success Student Equity and Success Committee. And he'll introduce us.
Cool, all right. This is cool. The reason why this is cool is because all the people that are part of this institution are represented here, right? And we won't be able to do it today because there's a lot of folks here. We got students, we got classified staff, we have administrators, we have faculty, right? We are in service of the students. And when we are thinking about the term equity in terms of being just and fair, it is about meeting students where they're at. But more importantly, as President Peck has mentioned in our All College Day, for students who don't know, there's this thing called All College Day, where every semester we got to come together as faculty, staff, admin to kick off the semester, right? Our leader has been talking about the word equity, but more importantly, looking at it in terms of structure. There are certain systems that have been designed to create certain outcomes, right? And let us be real about higher education. You know, it wasn't built to serve the students that are here right now. It was built for students who already had the social navigation skills, the capital, the resources to be at this point that we call higher education. But what we're doing is trying to kind of unravel it and actually transform our college through community. That's very important. And, you know, with the equity framework that we have, what's exciting about our college is that, you know, we've been thinking more deeply about this word and not just putting it on the side. But how can we use this as a tool for all of us to begin this transformative work, okay? Imposter syndrome, that's real too. We all suffer from that, and we're so glad that Melissa is here to provide us with, you know, some insights on that. Because we doubt ourselves so much. I think even more so as we come to this place called higher education, our students will doubt themselves even more because some don't even know. Or even us as faculty, staff, administrators, we may doubt ourselves. Like, for example, what if a faculty member got a full-time position and they're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. Or, you know, for even me as an administrator going to another position, can I do this? You know, I don't look like the folks who are at the top, but can I do this? Right? All these things come into play. But it's an important part of the work because the more that we reflect on ourselves, the more we can see our biases, the more we can figure out, okay, so what are we going to do about that? And how can we come together as community to actually figure out how we can do this transformative work together? So that being said, I want to thank you all for being part of this. And just so this thing that we've been sharing here at Mission College in terms of building an equity-centered community. To do this work, fundamentally, when it really boils down to it, is trust. We have to begin trusting each other and creating those relationships. This is the first time that we are really trying to intentionally engage with students in a way in which we bring them at the table to help us transform our college. That's new. That's real new. Because it's like, you know, some folks are like, what, the students telling me what to do? Well, let's think about it, we're in the service of our students, right? So as new students come into this college, we have to always be on our tip top in terms of like how are we responding to their needs, right? And then now we are creating officially the entree for their input to come in and form what we do as a college. So that's going to be very important as we move forward. And you know, let's think about the self and the core as we do this work, okay? Let us begin acting and operationalizing what connection means at the college. So thank you very much.
An old Cherokee talking to his grandson, giving him the wisdom of age and experience. He says, a fight is going on inside of me right now. It's a terrible fight. It's between two wolves. One wolf is evil. He is anger, he is envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, even superiority with alter egos. He continues, the other one is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. And Junior, the same fight is going on in you. It's going on in every person. So the grandson's sitting there confused, trying to figure out what the old dude is saying. Takes him a couple of minutes and he looks up at his grandfather and he says, "So Grandpa, which wolf is going to win?" And with the wisdom tooth of the East, Grandpa looks down and says, "The one that you feed."
I'm going to wrap up and actually introduce our speaker. So Melissa DaPonte is your official role is part-time counselor or mental health specialist, excuse me, over at our health center. So we're so excited to have her here.
I'm the mental health specialist here at Mission College. And it's so funny because when they asked me to teach on the Imposter Syndrome, I thought, oh, this is perfect because I'm in the throes of this right now because I just started teaching a Psych 1 class. So this is very appropriate for me as well. And it's true what the woman in the video was saying. Human mind, unfortunately, is comparing mind. We just can't seem to help ourselves. And no other animal actually does this. I can guarantee you that Squirrely right here isn't going to lay down his head at night and say, oh my God, I'm like Gigi and Bobo saw me eating that like donut, like I was the only one. Was I a good squirrel today? Oh God, I was a bad squirrel today. So only human beings do that. And we have this capacity to be really hard on ourselves, to develop this imposter syndrome. So why is it that for so much of our lives we feel like we're not okay? Because ultimately it stems from us feeling just not okay as people. So this is from the Process Therapy Institute. This is like kind of the groundwork for imposter syndrome. So these are the 5 places where we get the message right off the bat that we're not okay. And it starts when we're actually very small. Growing up, we frequently get the message that we're not okay from our parents. They say that a lot of people grow up in families where there's either abandonment or entrapment. Your parents try to raise you, so maybe they, ignore your bad behavior. Maybe they were a little bit neglectful. When you're a little kid, that gives you the message like, oh my God, I'm not okay. I'm not an okay person. I'm doing things wrong. Or you might have the opposite issue, which is where you have an entrapping parent, someone that's overly domineering, overly, kind of up in your business. And with that too, like a very controlling parent, you also get the message that you're not okay. So it starts when we're very, very small. The collective unconscious. Some people don't buy into the collective unconscious. You could think of it as society in general. This is the message we get from society and generally from the world that human beings are not okay. I wrote down a saying that my partner typically says that I think like I think he got it from Men in Black, from the movie, but he says it all the time. He's like, oh, people are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals who fear what they don't understand. That is the collective unconscious, this feeling that just as human beings we're not okay. Oh, we ruined the planet. Oh, we hurt other people. Oh my God, people are bullied. There's war in the world. So in general, we're walking around not feeling like we're okay. So, and you think about, it's kind of amplified right now at this moment because look at how much bad othering there is. Every time you turn on the television, yeah, there's a lot of bad othering. This group is bad. These people are bad. There's, there's all of that going on. So it creates an overall feeling of separation from each other. Okay, so that's 2. 3, the hardwired brain. Your limbic system, which is constantly looking out for threats, trying to keep you safe. This very primitive part of our brain, unfortunately, is still with us and keeps us very fearful. It's funny because at one of my sites, we do this activity where a therapist will be with you and kind of walk with you, and they'll pretend to be your limbic system. So you'll walk the bit. Oh, don't step there. Oh, watch out. Oh, that person's looking at you funny. You better change how you're acting right now. So there's this part of our brain that keeps us fearful. 3. 4th one, other people's projections onto us. Oh man. Human beings care so much about what other people think about them, yeah? We all want so desperately to be liked. Why is it that you guys think we adapted in this way? What do you think? Why did we develop this intense desire to be liked by everybody? Any idea?
When you're part of an in-group, it's a safe in numbers thing.
Say that again.
When you're liked, you're part of an in-group.
Yep.
And when you're in the in-group, you're safe.
When you're in the in-group, you're safe. Very good. Yeah, it is, evolutionary, yeah? It's true. When you're part of the in-group, you're safe. And apparently back when we were hunter-gatherers, I was listening to a Buddhist practitioner who was talking about when we were hunter-gatherers, you would be in an in-group, you would be with your tribe, probably between 12 and 18 people, and you would live out your whole life with that group. Just that very small, that tiny group of people. And it was so important for you to be liked because what if you made everybody mad and they kicked you out? What did that mean? Death. Outcast, death. Chances are you weren't going to make it. So from way back in the day, we've developed this very intense desire, I have to be liked by my peer group. And it's funny because a lot of times, even in therapy, when they're not liked by others, it feels like death. It feels terrible when you know that people don't like you, when you're an outcast. Such a terrible feeling. That's 4, yeah? Oh, the worst one. Disallowance of ourselves, our own judgment of ourselves. I see this one a lot too. It's kind of interesting because I've seen so many cases where maybe a person was bullied when they were little or when they were younger, bullied, but their bullies have been gone for years and years and years. And they take the job. I asked a girl not too long ago, I said, because she's talking about, these people that were mean to her and cruel to her and kind of kept her down. I said, yeah. I was like, okay, so who's doing that to you now? Who's hurting you now? And she was quiet for a long time, and she said, just me. Just me. So we turn on ourselves all the time. So it's no wonder we don't feel okay. We have all these messages that we're not okay as people. Even for what's considered acceptable by dominant society. Even if you're rich, white, heterosexual, Christian or Catholic, even if you fit everything, you'll still have this go on because there's going to be people that you feel like are doing it better than you, right? So no one gets out of this thing, which is a bummer. Now add on ambiguity. If we're all walking around feeling to some capacity that we're not okay, or maybe even for myself. Now all of a sudden, okay, I feel kind of okay with myself. Now start a new job, enter a new role, get promoted, start teaching in class, start going to a new school. And all of a sudden, begin anything where you don't feel competent in what you're doing. And then, imposter syndrome. I don't belong here. I shouldn't be here. I don't know what I'm doing. It's funny because when I started teaching, some of my students are here right now. You don't know this, but when I first started, I thought, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing here. And I would try to stay connected with myself, okay, this lecture's going well. I like how I'm being right now. And then I would see someone asleep, and I'd be like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm the worst teacher in the whole world. What am I? And then I'd come back, oh no, I'm okay. I'm all right. It's just back and forth. So ambiguity makes it worse, yeah? What do you guys think about, are there disproportionately impacted communities or groups? What do you guys think about that? Oh, there's a lot of nodding. A lot of nodding. There's another layer of disallowance when you already feel separated from the dominant culture. It's true. Like, it just compounds your suffering. The other day when I was in CrossFit class, I talked with a girl, stunningly beautiful, who's an engineer, and she looks incredibly confident. She just got her, man, she's got it going on. And I was telling her, oh yeah, I'm teaching this thing. She's like, oh, I have that so bad. And I said, what? She was like, yeah, as an engineer, as a female engineer. And I said, but she went to very prestigious schools, all these different things. And I said, really? And she was like, yeah, because I'm one of the only women there. Like, I feel it all the time when when the men are together, when they look at me. Especially because she's very beautiful. She's like, I guess I don't look like I know what I'm doing, but so I have that all the time. I'm kind of trying to work my way through that right now. And I thought, oh my God. Minority groups, different religious beliefs, first generation. I've had kind of a recent experience with this for myself, which I feel grateful for now, in regards to a language barrier, because last year I went to the Azores. I'm Portuguese, and my grandmother, was like, one of our extended cousins was getting married. She's like, oh, I want you to see our island. Can you go represent the family? For myself, and she told me, don't worry, Melissa, all your cousins speak English. And then she called my cousins and said, don't worry, Melissa speaks fluent Portuguese. And neither of those things were true. So I showed up at this island and met with my cousins, and they didn't speak any English. And I don't speak any Portuguese at all. And I was there for a week. Speaking on Google Translate, trying to, and I've never felt anything like that in my whole life, where I didn't speak the language and feeling so isolated, because, and I could tell it was kind of a burden to them. They didn't want to have to tell me everything that was going on, so I just kind of receded back, And then for the wedding, because this is another thing, like, if you're out of the country, if you're extended family and you come to the wedding, you're in the wedding. So I found out I was in the wedding. And unfortunately, in the Azores and on my island, there tends to be a lot of homophobia. And I'm not homosexual, but at the time I was lifting a lot, so I was very muscular, which is completely not acceptable in the culture. So at the wedding, and I'm like hulking out of my dress, I'm kind of like, walking around, I noticed how, word got around about me. That, and I noticed just how people were looking at me, and so I was the Americana that didn't speak the language. And so for the whole wedding, my poor cousins, they were busy with everything. So for the whole wedding, no one spoke to me. And nobody asked me to dance or anything. I was just kind of to myself. I would play with the kids and stuff like that. And then at one point I went outside onto this balcony, and it's like a third story, this beautiful restaurant that was overlooking the ocean and everything. And I went out there, and a bunch of 30-somethings, like my age people, were out there. And so I just smiled, letting them know that I'm available to, talk or hang out or something like that. And they all saw me. And one of these gentlemen came up and started walking over to me, and I was so excited because I was so ready for a friend or for anyone to be kind to me. And he came up to me, and he got real close to me, and he was like, oh, Americana, jump. And all of them laughed and walked out, just walked, back inside the wedding kind of a thing. And I thought, wow, it was a very lonely week. Very, very lonely. But it was just a week. Now imagine that you come here, to America, but you move here and you don't speak the language. And however many months or even years it takes for you to learn, imagine how isolated you feel, or how different. Mine was just a week, and then I came home, oh my God. And then with my grandma, who doesn't speak English, when we went to family events, when she would just kind of do that same thing, I would see her kind of recede back because she didn't understand, and I would bring someone and say, you interpret to her. You tell her what's going on, because I knew what that felt like, and it was so terrible. And it's just something that people just accept. They just sit with that discomfort for an extended amount of time. Or imagine if you turn on the TV and your culture or your race is always demonized, right? bad othering, oh, they're bad, that people don't deserve it to be here, all this stuff. You think that doesn't impact a person? You think that doesn't stay with them? Of course it does. So it's a different layer of suffering, yeah? But even with that man that was cruel to me, every person, this is where we get to the good stuff, every person experience is a gift to you and giving you the chance to transcend your own disallowance. So even with that guy, when he came up to me and all those people laughed at me, I thought, because I felt like I didn't have a friend in the world, but I could still be a friend to myself. And I thought, man, I'm not letting these people make me feel any kind of way about myself. So I stayed there at the wedding. I held my head high. I was, just with myself in a way that I liked and respected. And then eventually I left that place. But that's what you have to do. In therapy, this is what we teach, is how do you have your own back? Even like if no one else is kind to you, how do you be kind to yourself? Because how many of these things do you think we have control over? Just this one. This is all you got. This is the only one that you have control over. And lucky for you, it is the most powerful one. Thank God. Nothing else. No control over society, how you were raised. We can't go back in time. None of that stuff can change. But you can change how you are with yourself. And how do we do that? Oh, this is my favorite therapeutic story. I think my students have already heard this one. I'm going to tell you the story. Just notice what happens inside of yourself as I tell you this story right now. Once upon a time, there was a king in the time of the Buddha in the Middle East somewhere? No. Where was it? Oh, India. So there was a king named King Pasadani who was of the highest caste, and he met a girl named Malika who was of the lowest caste, which meant he was supposed to have nothing to do with that girl. But he met her, and she was so kind and generous and beautiful and sweet that he married her, bringing her up in the world. And then one day they were talking, and he asked her, he's like, Malika, who is the dearest to you in all the world? And she thought about it, and she said, myself. And he said, what? She was like, yeah, me. What about you, King? Is there anyone more dear to you than you? And then he thought about it, and he was like, oh my God, no, Malika, there's no one more dear to me than myself. And then he went and he told the Buddha, because the Buddha was hanging out in his village. He was like, Buddha, I just had such an interesting conversation with Queen Malika. And he told him about it, and the Buddha got all excited, and he said, this is correct. This is right thinking. This is right action. Every person should love themselves with a fierce love, because he who loves himself cannot hurt another person. But if you hate yourself, then it becomes really easy to hurt other people, yeah? There's that saying, hurt people, hurt people. It's true. So how do you, I always tell my clients, ideally I hope you're walking through the world like Queen Malika, putting yourself first, which is a hard thing for us to do, because we're so used to putting other people ahead of ourselves, on turning on ourselves all the time. So instead, how do you not abandon yourself? Ready? I'm going to try to do it right now. Notice what happens inside of yourself. Pretend your name is Patty Sue, okay? And I'm just going to be a peer or a coworker or someone in your life. Ready? I have to do this exercise. Okay, just track yourself. Oh, that's Patty Sue. Are you still connected to yourself? Like, can you still hold on to your liking and caring for you when I do that? Most people cannot. In therapy, it's so funny because I'll invite people, oh, let's do this exercise. And they'll be like, okay, I'm ready for it. And as soon as I do that, they'll go like this. Because they immediately, they turn on themselves. Immediately, they make themselves bad. And so I'll say, like, could you hold on to your liking and caring for yourself? And they'll say, no. And I'll say, okay, that's all right. Try it again. This is how it is. This is the practice. I wish it was easier. I started doing another one, too, that was it's harder on them, but it's where I have them imagine I'm their inner imposter or like the critical voice, and I'll have them sit as something they're trying to like cultivate, like self-love or acceptance. And then I'll say, okay, ready, imagine you're right here. Now you're trying to protect you, and I'll be your inner critic. See if you can protect yourself against me. And I'll say all the things, and a lot of people I'll say like, oh, you're not good enough, trying to get to them. You're not good enough, you don't belong here. And a lot of times when they're standing in straight love or as self-love, they'll be like, get out of here, like you don't belong to me. No, you're doing just fine. Don't listen to this one's full of hooey, kind of a thing. But you know what a lot of people will do? In that situation, when I'm like, oh, you're not good enough, they'll just go like this. They'll just freeze up. because they've never known what it's like to be kind to themselves or to have their own back or to defend themselves. And in that situation, I get harder on them. I do it more. I say everything that they've told me that I know that hurts the most. I'll say, you're not good enough, Patty Sue. I know you want to be. I know you think you can be here, but you can't. Everyone else is smarter than you, and everybody else knows it, and we don't belong here. You're just not good enough. You're just not good enough. I know you want to be, but you're not. And because I want to get them to the place where they get sick of it, and they stand up for themselves. And usually, it'll happen. It'll be just a matter of time. They're like, and I'm just beating up on them, like, you don't belong here, you're not good enough. And eventually something will shift in them and they'll say, stop it. Yes, she does. She does deserve to be here. She's been kicking butt for like however many years. She does deserve to be there, so you stop saying that. And I'll just, and then I'll ask them, how did it feel to say that? And they'll say, good, real good. So this is the thing, like, you notice when you turn on yourself and then you make the U-turn. How do you have your own back? How do you put your own comfort over someone else's, because most of us just shut down, right? We just shut up, someone makes us uncomfortable and we go, oh, you're so funny, instead of saying, hey, I'm not comfortable with what you said. That's you putting yourself first. And we're so used to putting others' comfort first, right? Well, totally okay with ourselves being uncomfortable so someone else can be comfortable. Enough of that! Now! So that's one of my favorite sayings, you can get bigger than any of the things that happen to you. You can get bigger. It happens all the time. What is the most powerful stance you can have walking through your life? It's where your liking and loving of yourself is bigger than anyone's criticism of you. It's where you let go of needing them to like you. It's the most powerful position you can be in, because then you're an authentic, genuine person. You don't need anything from anyone. It's okay if people don't like you because you like you. It's the best thing in the whole entire world, and it's hard to get to. And why should you do it? I'll tell you why. This is the last slide, don't worry. You should do it because your life is a castle. Damn it, it is. If you think about it, think about everything that it took for you to get here. Think about it. So you're born, okay? First you're born. Now you gotta learn how to walk. Now you gotta learn how to talk. Now you gotta learn how to feed yourself. Now you gotta go to school. Now you gotta learn how to make friends. Now you gotta learn how to make relationships. Now you gotta learn how to memorize stuff. Now you gotta learn how to take tests. Now you gotta learn how to do papers. Now you gotta learn how to drive a car. Now you gotta learn how to have relationships. Now you gotta learn about insurance. Now you gotta learn about money. Now you gotta learn how to get married. Now you gotta learn how to be a parent. Now you have to learn about like credit and all that crazy stuff. Now you gotta until you gotta learn how until you learn how to die. So all the way through. But it's just like the whole way, like you're just building your own life brick by brick by brick by brick. You're just building this huge thing. And that's why Carl Rogers said, like, when people kill themselves, it tore him up inside because he said it was like a whole universe is gone. He's like, he just can't stand it. Because if you think about everything it takes, like, isn't that worth honoring? Isn't that worth something?